Forget the doubters. IShowSpeed in China has been a revelation. We all knew it would be wild, but nobody could have predicted the sheer level of absurdity that he unleashed on his streams. From encounters with robots to gravity-defying cars, this trip has been filled with over-the-top reactions. So, press that like button and buckle up, because we are about to ride along with the whirlwind of energy that is IShowSpeed unleashed on China. Speed recreates the scenes from Karate Kid. Speed expresses his love for the movie and that it was the first movie he saw as a kid.
I don't know who this is, y'all. This is Zach Wang of Karate Kid, y'all.
Yeah.
Let's go. All right, man. Come on.
This seems to be a childhood dream come true moment as he meets Zhenwei Wang, the main antagonist in the Karate Kid. In true Speed fashion, he tries to recreate the iconic final fighting scene in the movie with the actor. He stands on one leg with his hands spread out, doing the movements of a snake, and does the backward flip. They also have a girl sit on the bench and recreate another famous scene from the movie as well. That's not all for Speed's trip, as he changes into a new fit from a man on the streets. Speed meets a man wearing a flowery red suit in the streets of Beijing. He shows his appreciation of the fit and asks if he can buy it off the man. The man, who's apparently also a well-known influencer and designer named Miles Moretti, proceeds to give him an identical suit from his suitcase that he changes into in a nearby restroom. The chat clearly appreciates the look and makes the choice for him to put on the tie that goes with the suit. Speed's China trip keeps leveling up in terms of sheer surprise, as Speed finds a car that's got some moves. Speed finds a Chinese sports car that can do things he hasn't seen a car do before. It makes a full 180-degree spin by itself when given some instructions. It also does a full jump, which has Speed about to jump out the window in surprise. He asks what else it can do, and they tell him it can dance, and music starts as the car starts to move and dance without being touched. He keeps on exclaiming, "What are these cars in China?" He asks the chat if he should buy the car, and the chat fully agrees that he should. He uses the phone and moves the car with the controls, making it twist and twerk. He moves next to the car, dancing along to its movements, and the stream turns into a glorious mess, blowing up with emojis. So what's next? The dancing car was just an opening act. Let's see what's in store as Speed gets his heart racing from something spicy. Speed tries spiciest hot pot, as is to be expected. Speed takes some adventures with his food, but maybe he went too far this time, as he attempted to eat the spiciest hot pot in Chengdu, China. Even the servers seemed concerned as they looked at him, waiting for him to change his mind, but he stood firm in his decision. In some amazing coincidence that seems to be on brand for his streams, a fan writing a song on his guitar serenades him with a Chinese song. They serve a big pot that holds a red-hot sauce filled to the brim with spices. After a while, he has to jump up and down as he eats to deal with the heat. He gets the idea to drink some of the sauce and has a visibly hard time breathing, exclaiming, "I'm dying," over and over again, and he truly seemed to be on the verge of being sick and drank everything in sight until he had calmed down. His adventures continue far beyond the culinary experiences that China has to offer. He's about to go on a gravity-defying challenge. Speed's adventures in China keep escalating. He has now taken things to a whole new level of how is that even possible. This next crazy adventure involves a car. No, not just any car, but a floating one. Speed goes up to the SUV, but apparently this one is unlike any you've seen before. It supposedly floats in the ocean. An actual car floating in the ocean sounds like a dangerous gamble, but one that Speed seems willing to take. He asks the chat whether he should do it, and true to form, they enthusiastically encourage him to take on another one of his stunts. After a long moment of panicking as they drive in the water, he stands up through the sunroof, yelling that they're floating in the car. It's at that moment he seems to realize it's not sinking. On land, he walks around the car, wondering how it works, and he's not the only one with those questions. But that's not all from his trip to China, as he finds his football idol's lookalike in the streets of Chongqing. Speed finds Chinese football player lookalikes. In a crazy encounter on the street, a man comes up to Speed with a mask of Messi on his face, and he pulls it off to reveal a Chinese Cristiano Ronaldo lookalike. Seeing as Speed seems to be a big fan of the player, he enthusiastically embraces the man. He meets the rest of the team that resemble different players in the league. There are more adrenaline-pumping stunts that will keep you on the edge of your seat. We're about to discover what happens when a car takes to the air. Speed's trip to China has been crazy so far, but I don't think any of us could have seen this one coming. Speed becomes the first public figure and streamer to fly a drone car. Yes, you heard that right, a drone car. There seems to be no limit to the excitement of China and their new technologies. He looks very nervous when they inform him there will be no pilot and he'll be inside it alone. The car flies automatically. That would make anybody think twice about their decision. He seemed to be rethinking it at first. Meanwhile, the chat was going wild with suggestions from fans, split between encouraging him to go for it and telling him to rest in peace. Everyone, buckle up. We are about to take flight as Speed is lifted off the ground, sitting alone in the flying drone car. He asks everyone to throw prayers in the chat as he is lifted off. The car lifts off and flies over the water and the Chinese landscape. Speed screams, "I wants to get off." He seems scared the whole time, crossing himself as they bring the drone back to a safe landing. He then starts screaming, "I did it." He sure did, and is greeted by screaming crowds. He gets an invite to come again next year for a longer flight. You thought that was a wild ride? Get ready for even more insane stunts on this trip, because we're just getting warmed up. Now that Speed's been in the drone, it's time for a visual spectacle, an unbelievable drone show. Speed is blown away, standing on a bridge with a breathtaking view of Shenzhen skyscrapers, all lit up at night. 1,500 drones take to the night sky. Their blue light formed the shape of a dragon in the air. He's mesmerized, screaming about how it looks like fireworks in the air, as the drones rearrange into a large bird, hovering in the air with its wings spread. They move to show the outlines of Shenzhen skyscrapers. He kept exclaiming, "China is different, bro," and the chat were in full agreement, just as mesmerized by the show as evidenced by their reactions. The excitement continues as he explores more of China, discovering even more jaw-dropping experiences. Stay tuned for what's next. Speed has more in store for us as he attempts something we haven't seen on a stream before and tries to become a Shaolin monk and meets a Shaolin master. We see him meet a Kung Fu master, Shifu. The first thing the monk says to Speed, not surprisingly, is to be calm, which was to be expected from his excitable energy as he exclaimed, "Train me, Master Shifu." He tells him that learning Kung Fu is a long journey and that he should come back in the future after he finishes his training. What follows is him going through the motions of training with the students, his antics making the other students laugh and break character. We see him struggle through the trainings wearing his Kung Fu student robes, and he rises to the occasion to learn some fighting moves. The excitement continues as we witness how Speed handles meeting something that rivals his dance moves. If you thought you'd seen it all on Speed's trip to China, hold on, because you haven't seen anything yet. Forget the questionable food and awkward encounters, because this time it's all about a full-on dancing robot that had Speed and the chat going wild. Speed was surprised to learn the robot was about to bust some moves, eagerly anticipating the performance. The robot, wearing a fedora, does a synchronized group dance that had Speed yelling loudly, "It's really dancing." They leave it to dance on its own, and it delivers, making some impressive moves. Speed follows behind it, mimicking its movements, yelling "Why-yay," clearly amped up about the whole show. He taps the robot on the top of its head at the end in appreciation. In a short video he recorded, he goes back to the lab after streaming and does a dance and a flip with the robot. He shows how the robot makes fight moves in the air and feints backward when Speed throws a faux punch that doesn't land. Speed meets the famous Dejiang Wei in Changsha, China. Dejiang Wei, as you might know, became famous in the US after releasing a song that became a hit, Nana Nena. Speed, apparently a fan of the public figure, met him while he was on the stage. He proclaimed his love for the star and the famous song. After the show was over, Speed got the moment he had been waiting for when he sang the hit song he loves with Dejiang Wei himself. That's all for Speed's exciting trip around China. There's so much more we haven't covered, and we have barely scratched the surface. Before we go, here's an honorable mention. There was a Chinese man named Rong Chang Lu, also known as Goose Guy, whom Speed called Uncle, dressed in a cotton red floral jacket, holding a braised goose. He proceeded to show up in the different cities where Speed was streaming, traveling across China to promote his hometown's food. He was a regular fixture throughout Speed's China trip, and the chat loved it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was just a glimpse of the madness that is Speed's China trip. If you enjoyed these highlights, be sure to smash that like button and let me know in the comments which moment was your favorite. Don't forget to subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.